Thank you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to find angle measures. Okay, so here we have a regular pentagon. I've drawn apophthegms and a radius. And what we want to do is we have three numbered angles. We want to figure out the measure of each one of those angles. Okay. You have a question already?
Yeah, what are apophthegms? Like, we just forgot.
Apophthem is the line segment that goes from the center of the figure to the side of the figure, creating a right angle. So it's a perpendicular line drawn from the side of the figure to the center of the figure. Yes?
What is this section called?
Finding angle measures. Okay, so when we draw our radii from the center of the circle to each of the vertices, you can see that a bunch of angles get created. Those angles are called central angles. So these 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angles are called central angles. They're the angles in the center of the figure. So angle 1 is a central angle. So the way we find the measure of a central angle, now, if I do this, what have I just drawn? A circle. Does anybody know the sum of the degrees of a circle? How many? 360. So what that tells us is that the sum of the central angles of any polygon is going to be 360 degrees. So if I want to know, and how many of these central angles do I have here? How many? I have 5. So if I want to know the measure of one central angle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide 360 by however many central angles I have. So in this case I have 5. So the measure of angle 1 is 72 degrees. Yes. How many central angles are there in a pentagon? Right, so if you draw a circle here, and you add up these 5 angles, it forms a circle, right? If I connect these 5 angles, it forms a circle, which has a total of 360 degrees. What? I did. To demonstrate. Okay, now, what we know about apophthegms is that they bisect the central angle. So if whatever angle 1 is, to find angle 2, we simply divide in half the measure of angle 1. So the measure of angle 1 was 72, so 1/2 of 72 is 36.
What is that next to 1/2?
72. Oh, measure of angle 1. So remember, the apophthegm, the red line on this figure, cuts the central angle in half. So we figured out that each central angle is 72 degrees. Half of 72 is 36. So you can multiply by a half or you can divide by 2, whichever you prefer. Okay, now, how do we get angle number 3? Subtract what from what? Okay, now you want to add. Okay.
Add 90 and 36.
So we have 90 and 36. So how do we find angle 3? If we know that this angle is 90 and this angle is 36, what's the total? What's the total of the angles in the triangle? 180. So my total is 180, and I subtract 90 plus 36, so I get 180 minus 126, which equals 54. So angle 3 is 54 degrees. Okay, does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
So like, if you're trying to find all the angles of like all the central angles, then you would need like the same angle.
Well, you wouldn't have to, if they're all going to be equal. So once you find one, all of them are going to be the same. Okay? All right. Okay, so you're not always going to be given all of the information that you need. So you're going to have to use some stuff that you know or should know to figure out what you need to know. So here we have a hexagon. That's how many sides?
6, 7.
6 or 7, whatever. 6 sides. Notice, now, if we want to find the area, we need, here's our area formula, 1/2 AP. We have the perimeter, or we can easily figure out the perimeter. How do we figure out the perimeter? Number of sides times the length of the side. How long is one side of this hexagon? 3. So to get the perimeter, it's 3 times 6, which is 18. Okay, now what we don't have, excuse me,
Wait, I have a question. Where'd you get the 6?
6 sides and a hexagon.
Oh, never mind, I didn't.
What we don't know is the length of the apothem. But we do know something about this triangle. It's a special right triangle. And what kind of special right triangle is it? It's a 30, 60, 90 right triangle. We know that because each central angle is 60. And then when we divide that 60 in half, we get that this angle is 30 degrees and that this angle is 60 degrees. So now we're going to use those ratios. Does anyone remember the ratio or remember the little equation that you can use? Well, here are the 2 equations that you need to know. That the longer leg is equal to the square root of 3 times the shorter leg. And the hypotenuse is 2 times the shorter. Very good. What? The ratios are given to you on the test. Okay, if the shorter side is 1.5, what's the longer side? That's right. So A is equal to 1.5 times the square root of 3. Look at the triangle here. The short side is x. Some value. To get the longer side, you take that number and you multiply it by the square root of 3. You guys are overthinking this. You're making it more difficult than it really is. Okay, now we have all the information that we need. We have 1/2. My apothem is 1.5 times the square root of 3. My perimeter is 18. I go to my calculator and I just plug those numbers in. I have 0.5 times 1.5 times the square root of 3 times 18. I get 233 point. 233.8.
You put 15 instead of 1.5.
Okay, so it's 20. Let's do that again. So 0.5 times 1.5 times square root of 3 times 18. You get 23.38. The question asks you to round it to the nearest whole number. So the area is about 23 and whatever the units are. Right out of Does anybody have any questions?